Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Other Side Sports Show / podcast. What week are we in now, Emmons?
14.
14? Week 14. So I got John Emmons back here. Matthew will be joining us shortly. We also got Connor on the show today.
Hello, what's up?
We're gonna talk about. We're gonna start off the show by talking about some World Cup that starts here in the. I believe it starts later this week, right? Like Thursday or Friday this week.
Thursday. Yep.
Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern, Russia and Saudi Arabia kick things off.
Okay.
Matchup of powerhouses.
So, while I was setting up the agenda today, and Emmons knew that World Cup was going to be on here. Emmons says, "Josh, I want you to set me up a bracket." Now, let me tell you guys about my soccer experience. The last soccer game that I've watched, okay, and I watched the whole game, I promise. But the last soccer game I watched, I pinky promise. Here you go, right here. It was the game where Zinedine Zidane headbutted the dude in the chest.
It's a popular game.
That was the last. That was the last soccer game that I watched in its entirety. I saw that live. I was a kid, so I saw that live. That was the last soccer game I've watched. So with that said, I've got my bracket right here. You guys can't see.
March Madness time, baby, with the brackets.
So,
we should have done a World Cup bracket challenge.
So I'm just gonna run through who I have advancing through the groups, and then I'll give you my final four, and I'll give you my final and my winner, and then I'll let you guys take it from there. So I've got Uruguay as my 1 seed out of A, and Egypt as my 2. I've got Spain as my 1 out of B, Portugal as my 2. I've got France as my 1 seed out of C, Australia as my 2. D, I have Argentina as my 1, Iceland as my 2. E, I have Brazil as my 1, Costa Rica as my 2. F, I have Germany as my 1, Mexico as my 2. G, I have England as my 1, Panama as my 2. And then in Group H, I have Poland as my 1 and Senegal as my 2.
Okay.
So then on my final four, I have France, Senegal, Germany, and Argentina. That's my final four. And then
Everything's fine.
and then in the finals, I have Germany defeating France with a score of 3-1 to win the World Cup.
Germany defeating France, so back-to-back World Cup.
Yeah, Germany defeating France. So that's my World Cup prediction from somebody who doesn't watch soccer at all.
Very high on Senegal.
Dude, they have a cool name, and cool names carry you pretty far.
I like it.
The Retrievers beat a 1 seed as a 16 seed just because they have a cool name.
So all right.
So you guys start us off. Take us through all the groups A through H. Tell us what teams you're most excited to look for. Which 2 teams you guys think are going to advance. Let's try to keep it brief because it's a lot of teams and a lot more show to go.
For sure. So Group A, I'm pretty sure we got Russia,
and Uruguay,
Saudi Arabia, Uruguay, and who's the 4th team? Is it Iran?
Egypt.
So the 2 teams I have moving out of there, I got Egypt as my 1 seed, and I got Russia as the 2. I just feel like the way they set this up purposely to get Russia to be able to advance, they gave them a pretty easy peasy, as I like to say, group. This World Cup is so different from many of the ones that I've gone through in my fanhood of soccer. This group play is pretty weak. There's really not like when you want to look at it and say, here's the best group, there is not a clear best group. I mean, I don't know your thoughts on that, Connor, but I know we've talked about this before, but this is a pretty weak World Cup.
Just as far as like the level of talent of players and like the play styles and the history of a lot of the teams that are in this World Cup, it's like I'd say unprecedented, like how weak it is.
Right.
Like, and that's not to say that the teams that qualified don't deserve to qualify, but just a lot of more talented teams that historically would be in the World Cup are not there. Group A, I definitely agree though with Uruguay and Russia. Uruguay easily, I think, takes the 1 spot though. Just too much quality in that team to not do it.
Emmons picked Egypt to take the 1 seed.
Did you?
Yeah,
I don't see Egypt. I don't see Egypt moving on.
All right, boys, we got our first disagreement on here.
Group A, we got our first.
I'm still not very I'm not convinced on how healthy Salah will be, and he is far and away their best player.
When people think about it, like I saw this comparison earlier and I brought it up. If you look at Portugal and Ronaldo, you can call that a LeBron thing. But if you really look at it, Egypt and Salah, that is the LeBron and the Cavs team right there.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, so I guess we agree to disagree with Egypt and Uruguay. So
yeah, I think Russia will move on though. I think they got a lot of quality, and it's the home country. I don't really see, unless Egypt really picks it up and Salah's actually healthy, then I think Russia sneaks away the second one.
Group B, we have Spain, Portugal,
Morocco,
and Iran. Yeah.
I think this one's another easy. Well, the first one's not easy because it's a bad group, but this one's a pretty easy one in my opinion. Spain takes the 1 seed, Portugal takes the 2.
I agree.
Around, in my opinion. I don't know the talent, the depth of talent on Morocco and Iran, so.
Morocco has some quality, but it's nowhere near those other two. I mean,
you look at Portugal, you obviously have Ronaldo, and then you just look at Spain up and down on paper. That roster is just, I mean,
yeah. And Portugal isn't just Ronaldo though. I mean, they have a lot of talent. Especially with a lot of players with what's happening with the Sporting Club de Portugal right now. I think a lot of players are going to try to earn contracts with new clubs.
For sure.
But I easily see it being Spain and Portugal as 1 and 2.
And then in C, we got France, who I love watching. I mean,
France.
Our boys in USA who failed to make it played them very tough.
Very well. And Australia, Peru, and Denmark.
For me, I got France easily as the 1, and then I got Peru coming out as the 2 seed. France, like I said, I mean, you look at their roster up and down, it's filled.
Insane.
Maybe, I mean, arguably, you could argue it easily that they're their best roster.
I'd say it's the most talented.
And then you got, I think Peru moves on. I loved the way they played down the stretch in the qualifying part of it. You tied with Argentina twice. You beat Colombia, I believe. And then they beat New Zealand in the playoff. I mean, New Zealand's not a world beater, but 2-0 when you had to. And they got some talent. So those are my 2 coming out of there. I don't know if we agree on Peru, but I'm sure you agree with France.
I agree on France. I don't think anybody would say otherwise. But, yeah, I have Peru second as well. I mean, Denmark, I think, would be the other option for me. I don't really see Australia moving on. They have some talent. I mean, I could see any of the 3 remaining teams coming away with the second spot, depending on how they play. But
yeah, I'm not writing them off. I love the way Peru's coming into the tournament,
especially since Peru also, I believe they're the team that just got their captain back, Paulo Guerrero.
Yep,
and he's their best striker for their nation. So having him back before the World Cup it's not just a morale boost. He's a really quality player for them. That's their captain. They're just getting him back. So that's
for sure.
So I definitely agree on that.
All right. So Matthew, we're up to Group C right now. So you filled out a bracket, correct?
Yes, I did.
All right.
Real quick, just go through your A, B, and C. Just go ahead and give us the teams.
Yeah, get caught up on A, B, and C.
Yeah, Uruguay 1, Russia 2.
Yeah.
Egypt 3rd, and then Saudi Arabia 4th. Group B, I had Spain, then Morocco, then Portugal. That was my big one. I have Portugal not making it out. I have Morocco getting out.
Interesting.
And then Iran, because I have I see Portugal being Ronaldo's like the LeBron of the World Cup.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that a little bit.
Yeah. And they're older now. 2 years ago when they won they're older now. I just see a major upset coming from Group B.
There's always that one upset, so I mean,
I think that's the one where he's not enough anymore. There's just not. Soccer's not the same way as basketball. He's not. He can only do so much.
Right.
So yeah.
What about Group C?
Group C, I have France, then Peru.
That's what we all agree on that.
Denmark. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like the talent, like there's no group of death this year, which we'll get into in a little bit. But it's kind of disappointing to me the way they set this up. Moving on to Group D. I think, well, Connor's going to disagree with me on this. For me, it was the obvious who's going to come out on top. I think Argentina's coming out on top, and then I got Nigeria at 2. Connor's going to go ahead and go into why he doesn't like Argentina, so I'm going to let him go ahead and take this one away.
Now, I have Croatia winning the group regardless. I think
I have them at 2, yeah.
Croatia is such an underrated team. Just that midfield might be one of the best in this whole tournament. I mean, Modric alone is just he might be Rakitic. I mean, it's a very good team. I think it's very balanced. I think it's going to be really
about them.
Nobody talks about, but as far as the rest of the group, I don't see Iceland moving on, but
neither.
I'm really stuck on the second team being Argentina or Nigeria, and I might be leaning Nigeria because Argentina, pure talent-wise, especially attacking, it might be the best in the world. I mean, you have Lionel Messi, who's the best in the world. I don't like comparing, but in his position, I'd say he's the best in the world. I don't think anybody doubts that. But you have so many players on that team that just never show up for the national team.
I agree.
This is a team that constantly just underperforms as a national team. They haven't won anything as a national team. They're constantly facing injuries and just their own little disputes. I mean, you have players who are some of the best strikers in the world who don't get called up for this team because they can't play the position they want and they still don't deliver. So I don't know. I'm personally leaning Nigeria. I think they're a very good team. Just a lot of talent. I think they have a lot to play for. But Argentina, obviously, if they play up to their potential, they should be one of the top teams in the tournament. But I just don't see it happening.
This was the hardest one for me.
Yeah, it was one of the hardest.
What I really wanted to do was I really wanted it to be Croatia 1, Nigeria 2.
Yeah, because Croatia is probably going to be the team I end up rooting for in the World Cup, since my 2 teams that I would vote for are non-existent. But I don't even have them moving on, which kind of depresses me.
My thing about Nigeria, the reason why it was so hard not to have it Croatia, Nigeria, was I feel like Nigeria is going to be that African team that just comes out in speed. Remember a couple years ago with Ghana? I feel like they're going to be. I just feel like they're going to come out with their speed, but that's at the end of the day, I can't, like Josh did with LeBron, I can't not put Argentina through based on this group. And then Croatia, I think, is kind of the obvious out of all.
That's my thing. I feel like the group stage is a small enough stage to where Argentina can move on until they get to the knockout round, which I will then get to, which I have my Cinderella team of this tournament when we get to it. Group E, we got Brazil, Serbia,
Switzerland, and Costa Rica.
And I got Brazil, another obvious 1 seed.
Yeah.
And Serbia as my 2.
Wow.
I actually did some research on some Serbian soccer today. Never really paid attention to Serbian soccer, but I like them, so I'm going with it.
Go ahead, Connor.
I could see that happening. I mean, Brazil, I think that all of us would agree that they're the clear favorite. I think they'd have to massively just blow it to not have the top spot in that group. I just cannot be the number 1 team. Like that's Brazil right now. They're that good. Yeah. But I do have Switzerland as number 2. It was tough. I mean, this is another one where I could see a Switzerland or Serbia going on. Serbia is a good team. They have some quality players that play in Europe. But I think Switzerland, they're also very good. I mean, they have a lot of well-known players. Granit Xhaka, one of their leaders, he plays exceptional for the team. I feel like the Swiss players, it's kind of like separate from the Argentina team. I think a lot of them elevate their play when they play as a nation. I feel like they're just a good national team, but I don't see anybody usurping Brazil as that number 1 spot. I don't see it happening.
Matthew, what you got?
I agree about Brazil, but I have Costa Rica.
Whilst we all 3 of us have a different 2 seed. I have
Costa Rica coming out. I feel like I don't think they're going to go as far as they did last World Cup. That run was ridiculous. But I do have them coming out of that group. I have a feeling that they're just going to get through Switzerland and Serbia. I think this is the closest to the group of death that we have, talent wise. I don't know. I just have a feeling. With this group, I feel like it's a feeling thing with those three.
So
yeah, those three, I completely agree with you. I mean, and Costa Rica does have talent. I mean, they have one of the best goalkeepers in the world in Keylor Navas. I mean, he starts for Madrid. I mean, they're a good team. It's going to be a tough group. I agree on that one.
So moving on to F, I want to move through these a little bit more, and then we'll break down our final four and go from there. Kind of get through this. F1, the first seed out of F, I got Germany. Then I got Mexico at the 2.
Yeah.
I think Mexico is an interesting team. I think Germany's the obvious one. It's pretty much why I have them each moving on.
Yeah, I have Germany easily winning, but I'm gonna pick one of the teams that I am rooting for, Sweden, as the second. I think
it was a tough choice for me.
Losing Ibrahimovic, they lose easily their best player by far, and their best attacking option in the history of their national team. But the way they play, they have all played a lot better. They stepped up in his absence. I mean, they beat Italy, who had qualified for World Cups for. It's just.
I don't remember the last World Cup that Italy hasn't been in.
Exactly. I mean, they've played really well. Their coach tactically has prepared them. I think they can really step up. I mean, Korea and Mexico, I mean, it's another one where I think the top one is really set in my mind, and then the other three could easily just pick it off. But I'm going with my gut, and I'm saying Sweden. I think they really have it.
Matthew, what you got?
I have Germany and Mexico as well.
I think Mexico is a really interesting team. They're pretty talented.
Their talent is balanced.
Yeah.
This is balanced across the pitch. So.
And then moving on to Group G, we got Belgium, England, and what are the other two teams there? We got
Tunisia.
Yeah, Tunisia. And then
and Panama.
Yeah, so this is an easy one. This is a very easy group for me. Belgium and England. Belgium coming out on top. England as in 2.
Now, this is such a disappointing group for me. This might. This might be the worst group. I mean, Belgium is a team with tremendous amounts of talent, but like Argentina, they do not perform. This was supposed to be their golden generation.
Yep.
And I mean, a lot of it, I think you can put on their manager, Roberto Martinez. I mean, he doesn't call up players that might deserve a spot like Raja Nainggolan.
We have a guy named Jurgen Klinsmann or Bruce Arena.
I mean, managers do play a big part. I mean, how teams tactically play and who they decide to call up. I mean, but I feel like Belgium, just based on talent alone, will go through. And I feel the same way about England maybe. But I honestly think Tunisia will take the second spot instead of England.
I love it.
I mean, if you have watched Tunisia play just in their friendlies leading up to the World Cup and some of their qualifying games, I watch it go, this is a good team. I mean, they play good soccer. They're playing well. I think England really has not performed at the national stage in a very long time. They kind of just rest on their pedigree of being England. And I mean, they have quality players, obviously, but especially with a new manager in Southgate, I could see Tunisia really picking it off. I think they're playing well right now. But
you're going to tickle my fancy here too, Matthew, and pick an upset?
Yeah, I got Panama coming in second.
Josh had Panama too, I believe, didn't you, Josh?
Belgium and Panama.
I had England and Panama coming out of that.
Okay. So we got these groups going. So I guess we'll move on to our final four.
You still got to do Group H: Poland, Senegal, Colombia, and Japan.
Oh yeah. Sorry about that. Thanks, Josh. That's why we have you here, buddy. I got Poland coming out on top, and I got Senegal coming in at the number 2 spot.
I think this is my group of death. I mean, this is the one where I see
I agree with this.
4 teams that I think every match is going to be a great match.
Yep.
I mean, they are all so close. I think Poland edges it out just based on quality and because Robert Lewandowski is.
Did they?
I mean, he carries
They
that
lost
team.
the guy though.
Glick, their
lost
starting
Glick.
center back, he's coming back. So
Oh, he's coming back. Okay.
he might not be able to play the first game, but
Okay.
I mean, he's the anchor in defense. But it's a talented team. You have Robert Lewandowski, who is arguably the best striker in the world, just in his role. And then, I mean, Senegal, I could easily see them moving through. Japan, if they play well, I could see them moving through. I really like Senegal, but I think Colombia
was a tough team for me to not have moved through.
Senegal's a tough team for me to not move on because I really think Colombia just has so much quality. James Rodriguez, Juan Cuadrado. I mean, it's a good team. It's a good team. They play attractive football or soccer, but yeah, it's I'm really looking forward to this group. I do think it is the group of death, just based on how level each of the teams are.
I have Colombia and Poland.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't really disagree with it. So moving on from the groups, my final four is probably a pretty popular one besides one team. I got France playing Brazil. I don't have any upsets in the top left. I got Brazil moving on after beating Belgium. Again, no upsets. And then on the other side is when it gets a little freaky for me.
Freaky.
I got Peru and Germany in the final four. And let me explain my Peru pick before you guys attack me. As me and Connor discussed, Argentina does not show up ever on the national stage when the spotlight's on them. And Peru just drew them twice, and they both played their first teams. So they can beat them. Spain, on the other hand, they like to choke too as of late. And I don't really think this is one of Spain's best teams either. I think Peru's coming in with a lot of momentum. It'd be crazy for them to actually get to the semifinals, but if I had to pick a team getting there, it's going to be Peru. And then Germany, to me, I don't think any team that I have coming out at the bottom right there matches up with Germany at all. I think Germany actually has the easiest road to get back to the semis, so I got that moving on. And then I got Germany. Peru's Cinderella ends pretty fast against Germany, probably a 3-0 game. And then
what about 7-1 like against Brazil 4 years ago?
Oh, if that happens again,
and speaking of Brazil, I got Germany playing Brazil in the championship, and I got Brazil getting revenge on Germany and winning 2-1 in the World Cup. Neymar scores in the 87th minute.
Wow.
Well, I mean, I see France just steamrolling their way to the final.
France is another team that scares me with how they play sometimes, though.
I mean, I can see this is a team where it has the quality and the talent, but and I can understand not liking Deschamps and how sometimes it's kind of a very fluid formation how they run. They can have Giroud up top with Griezmann sitting behind him. He's supposed to be playing, which I'm counting on that
head injury was pretty nasty.
With him being there, I think it makes them a much more dynamic team because it allows them to have Giroud up top with Griezmann behind.
Josh might not understand this.
Number 9
guy on their team.
And I think that'll open up because when a lot of teams sit back against France, they can just pump the balls into the box and he'll win those. He's a very good.
That's why I was surprised with how USA
player in that regard.
But so who you got in your final four? Obviously France.
I have France, Brazil, because I just think Brazil is
almost on. They're the second best roster for me.
Brazil. I think they're easily the second best team in the World Cup. I think. I mean, Germany plays like a team, but they're a very well-rounded team. But I think Brazil, you have so much talent. Neymar, especially, he's probably the third best player in the world. I mean, it's just especially. I think they really want to perform well in this World Cup, seeing as how
that's why I have them winning it with the revenge. I mean, they got embarrassed on their home soil.
absolutely
4 goals in like 6 minutes. Am I right? Was that what it was?
it was so quick fire. I mean, it's arguably one of the greatest embarrassments just in World Cup history. I mean, I don't see them pushing on beyond France and winning, but I think it's very close. And then Germany, I have because Germany.
I'm interested to see who haven't. You have Spain, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I have Spain.
Okay,
I think Spain. They have their problems, but
they have
so much
to
talent.
too.
They have a lot to prove. I mean, and I like your Peru pick, but I don't know if Paulo Guerrero can will them past Sergio Ramos and Gerard Piqué at the back.
Before I let Matthew go, I'm just going to say Peru is going to need Argentina and Spain to choke. The talent-wise, they can't just beat them straight up. Go ahead, Matthew.
Matthew, you want to take us through your final four?
Yeah, so France and Brazil up top.
Popular pick for us.
Yeah. I remember the announcers trash talking Brazil that game. They literally trash talked them live. I have a feeling about France.
Yeah, this is so talented.
France is
so
just
fun to watch.
Yeah,
that midfield such a good team.
Griezmann.
Mm-hmm.
Mbappe,
yeah.
Conte, Tolisso, Dembele.
We can name, and then
their B team might be able to make it to the semifinals. Yeah.
I always forget. I can never remember their keeper's name, but he's
Lloris,
got to play better.
Hugo Lloris.
He's got the talent, but he's got to play better.
Spain and Germany.
Yeah.
I thought you had like some surprise here.
No, my surprise was Portugal.
Oh,
I went out early.
All right.
So then, what's your finals and who's your
winner?
winner?
Germany destroying France.
Wow.
I think they're on a different level. I think here's the thing about Germany. They have most of their team plays at the club level together. That's huge. And I think it's going to show.
A lot of the French guys play together too.
Yeah, but they're just on another level. They're a machine.
So I took Germany. Matthew took Germany. Connor, what was your pick?
France. I got France.
Okay, and then you got Brazil. Okay, so we got 2 Germanys, a France, and a Brazil. So last question: what team are you guys pulling for? I think this team will win aside. What team are you pulling for? Like you would like to see win it all?
For me, I don't think they can win it all. I have my own reasons for this, and they're fun to watch. Croatia, I'll be pulling for. I was trying to find my Croatia jersey, but I couldn't find it, so I threw on the failure jersey.
Failure. I'm rocking with France and Sweden. France so fun to watch. I have a heritage from both those countries, so but they play. Both of them play some of the most attractive football, or soccer. But
you can call it football, man.
It's just,
I'm with you on it.
I think in this World Cup, there's a lot of teams that I'm used to seeing that play very good play styles because I enjoy watching certain play styles, and I feel like they're 2 of the only teams. But yeah, I'm definitely cheering for Sweden and France personally.
Matthew, what you got?
I want to say Germany because I've always just had a fascination with the country, but I'll say Mexico because if we can't do it, at least they can make us proud.
Yeah, I don't want to see them do anything.
I don't want to see Mexico either.
No.
So, Connor, thanks for coming on with us, man.
No, thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm glad we finally got you in here. Anybody else have anything to say before we move on from this?
Nope.
All right.
I'm excited.
Thanks for joining us, man.
It's fun.
Have a good one, boys.
Have a good night.
You too, man. Appreciate it. All right, so now.
Yep, no problem. Anytime.
So now we move on to the NBA Finals, and
I feel like we can't get this topic off of our show.
The joy that was. This will actually probably be the last time we talk about it. So
I know.
That'll be fun. So we're gonna start with something a little different. We're not gonna actually talk sports for the first little bit. We're just gonna talk entertainment. So what I did was I had Emmons and Matthew put some memes in the chat that they really liked from the finals, and so I have them, and I'm going to show them right here on screen. So the first one is from Emmons. He linked it. This was his favorite meme from the finals that popped up, and most of these are out of Game 1. That J.R. Smith situation where he didn't exactly come through. So you got meme number 1 right here. LeBron obviously pretty upset. And then you got J.R. Smith sitting there holding his Cavaliers mug. He's got the Hennessy on the table. And he says, "We're ahead by 1. Change my mind." That's a good one. I really like that one. That one's really good. That one's really good. So then we'll move on to my favorite one. And the thing that gets me with this one is the very bottom text message. So we got LeBron James sitting there reading text messages. KD's like, "Hey man, if you can't beat him, join him. Just go ahead and come on over to Golden State." And then you got Kyrie's text him. He's like, "Hey man, don't even think about coming to Boston." And then you got J.R. Smith popping up at the bottom. "Don't worry, man. We got Game 5. We're taking Game 5 in Golden State in Oakland." And then at the top,
you forgot.
At the top of that, it's kind of cut off, but at the top of that, it was Lonzo Ball texting him, "Hey man, I'll give you discount on Big Baller Brand gear if you come to LA." That was good stuff. So we have Matthew's favorite, and Matthew doesn't much like LeBron. Your mic is muted, by the way, Emmons. I don't know if you know that. Matthew doesn't much like LeBron, so we've got a picture of LeBron with a backpack on, being followed by a bunch of people. LeBron fans be like, "What team we going to now?"
That's more on his fans than anything. There's like, no matter what, we're going with him.
It's a
we're
pretty
buy a jersey no matter what.
Because Josh is going to be whatever fan he is going to be if wherever LeBron goes, which is fine.
No, man, I told you I'm a Magic fan. I'm
sticking with the Magic.
Yeah,
I like it. I like it.
So this one's
we can be in misery together while Matthew enjoys many wins.
Sounds good. So this is going to be a little hard to see because the resolution got dialed down in whatever program this is. But it's a picture of LeBron James doing the face to J.R. Smith, and he's holding Drake's baby, and Drake's doing the dance from Hotline Bling where he's like, "No." So LeBron's trying to give him the baby, and Drake just won't take it from him. That's a good one. That's actually my GroupMe picture. And then the last one, J.R. Smith, he's looking at the basket. LeBron's looking at him. "What are you doing?" And it says, "J.R. Smith, I was trying to find Kyrie." And LeBron's like, "Kyrie's in Boston. What are you thinking?" Oh, man. So some good memes. Go ahead.
Here's the thing that's missed on that meme is not as much J.R. Smith's like blunder of not realizing Kyrie's not there, but that he was looking for Kyrie and not LeBron. That to me was the biggest part of that.
Yeah,
he's like, "I need somebody clutch. I'm going to Kyrie."
Oh man, I didn't think about that. That's good. Yeah. That's actually a good way to look at it. So now we'll move into the serious stuff with the finals, and I don't have an opinion on this, so I'm gonna stay out of this one. But Matthew, I'll start with you. Did Kevin Durant did he earn the MVP award?
Yeah, because he closed it out. I mean, a lot of times when we look at these MVP awards and championship, either series or games, it's kind of like what's on your biggest mind, Steph Curry, he got some points that Game 4, but he really had a rough last 2 games. I mean, he was on fire the first 2 games and he kind of died off, and whether it was by design or not, KD just closed it out.
Yeah,
he closed out just like when Iggy won the MVP that first championship. It was on everybody's mind how he, quote, shut down LeBron. So that's why he got it. Not necessarily pure stats wise. It's just, when you looked at how games 3 and 4 ended, it was the KD show. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. My thing with Kevin Durant is an interesting stat that I heard while the game was going on. Kevin Durant has scored at least 25 points. I think if I heard that correctly, in every single finals game he's been in. And he continued to do that he didn't really have the best game 1, but I mean that game 3 he had when he just dropped. I mean, there was nothing he couldn't do. I mean, in that game, he got 43 with ease. So I think Steph's a close second, but that game 3 Steph had where he was just, I mean, he looked like me out there trying to play.
I think he had like 11 points and he shot like 1 for 10 from 3.
He looked like me playing some basketball out there against those guys. So that wouldn't be good. So yeah, Kevin Durant to me, he was consistent. He played solid defense of what you can do on LeBron James, and that, to me, I think he is the clear MVP.
Okay, so that's fine. Like I said, I don't have an opinion on it. I felt like it could have went to Durant or Steph, so I'm okay with it going either way.
It was kind of an argument I seen going on like TV stuff, so I was kind of interested in talking about it a little bit.
Yep. So regardless of cap situations anywhere in the league, and you can't pick the Pistons, that was one of my stipulations. Where would you like to see LeBron go play?
I went back and forth on this a lot. Like, if I'm just looking at like a pure like roster talent wise, it's either Boston or Houston for me if Cap doesn't exist. I mean, Boston's absolutely loaded. We all know that. We talked about them quite a bit. In Houston, he finally gets to go play with his boy Chris Paul. You got James Harden there as well, and then you add LeBron James. You keep Clint Capella and that whole team assembled. They're beating the Warriors.
So I only have one team that I would really like to see LeBron go to, and I think it would make for the most drama-packed finals maybe in the last 15 years.
I completely agree with you. I already know where you're going with this.
The San Antonio Spurs. LeBron goes, signs with San Antonio. Kawhi's like, heck yeah, man, I want to play with LeBron. So then he hops in. He's done with his whole whatever is going on there. And so now you've got Kawhi, you've got LeBron. I don't know.
Aldridge.
And like now, I'll bring the payroll back into this. What if they can? Is there any way the Spurs could ditch LaMarcus Aldridge, pick up LeBron, and add Chris Paul?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think LaMarcus is going to attract enough value to get a Chris Paul.
Okay. Well, either way, like LeBron and Kawhi. Now, if that team, if LeBron and Kawhi and LaMarcus Aldridge could take down the Warriors, setting up like a final with LeBron James led Spurs and Kawhi Leonard, facing the Boston Celtics and getting and then you've got Kyrie and LeBron going head to head. That would be so much fun to watch.
I was on board until I heard the words Kyrie and Spurs in the same sentence.
Yeah, so I said
before we let Matthew go.
Yeah.
When you said drama filled, I immediately what popped in my head.
What's that?
LeBron goes to Oklahoma City, and then we have an Oklahoma City Western Conference Finals. Westbrook versus Durant. LeBron.
Oh man.
Just purely drama. That
would also be very very much drama, but I would rather see him go play with Pop and Kawhi in San Antonio.
That would be fun to see him go in San Antonio. I said Boston and Houston, Matthew.
And then see the two of them match up in the finals. Who would you like to see LeBron go to, Matthew, regardless of payroll?
Cap roster
Spurs.
or anything. Yeah, I can see the Spurs.
And that's assuming Kawhi's gone and Aldridge is still there. I just think that tandem, Aldridge and LeBron.
See, I want Kawhi to stay. Like, I want Kawhi to be there.
He's not going to, though. When you really look into that situation, he's not going to be there, unless the Spurs just say we don't care. We're going to force you to play out your contract. He's not going to be there, man. He doesn't want that got severed.
I will say that there was news today as I was leaving work that the Cavaliers were working on a blockbuster trade to try to get LeBron to stay. So I was thinking that maybe there could be some kind of Kawhi Leonard deal with number 8 going on in there. So like maybe number 8 pick and then some of those pieces like George Hill, Rodney Hood, something like that, and send those guys there to get Kawhi. But I don't know what
that another day.
Yeah,
but that cap roster would still be pretty interesting even if you had Kawhi and get a number 8 pick.
Yeah, I don't know what they would have to do to get that pulled off. But so let's move into Hold Up. This one was tough. I'll be honest. I got 4, and then it took me until the end of the day to get that 5th one.
You could have brought my boy Dwayne Casey into this.
Nah, we've talked a lot about Detroit sports.
A lot of Detroit Pistons. We haven't really talked much about it, which unfortunately for me is the worst team in the city.
So we'll start with statement number 1, and I know this is a good statement. It's gonna get you guys riled up right from the start.
You always
So-
get us riled up. So I'm
Emmons,
excited for this.
please listen to the
I
statements.
know. Listen to the
Okay.
statements. Listen to the statements. I'll try my best.
All
my
right,
friend.
here we go, boys. Statement number 1. LeBron James' oldest son enters his freshman year of high school this upcoming school year. That, pending any NBA rule changes, puts him in the NBA in potentially 5 years. LeBron is 33, still the best player in the league, but he has mentioned retirement in the past when asked about his future. But he did say in an interview that his biggest accomplishment would be playing with his son. So here's your statement. LeBron James Sr. and LeBron James Jr. will play in the league at the same time.
I want to go hold up.
Yeah, hold up.
It's still as much as I love Bronny Jr. and how much that kicking ball. The realm of possibility of him going to a team that can then
I see. This is why I said listen to the statement. I said they
should
play
with the Sun.
play in the league at the same time, not that they play on the same team.
Yeah, I mean I can see that, but
Okay.
I mean still, I mean you're
I
talking you're talking another 4 years with LeBron playing, and then I mean it's still the odds of I mean he's a freshman in high school. I mean the odds of him still making the NBA are still slim.
I think I'm looking at this realistically. I think by that time, the NBA has passed drafting rules, whereas to get rid of the one and done. And I see him having to make that choice between just going to the draft and having to spend at least like 2 or 3 years in college. And at that point, it takes it out of the realm of possibility because I don't think he's going to be that guy. The only way I see it happening is if, he's like, hey, if I fail, I don't have to worry about a college degree. I got
Right.
LeBron's my dad. So then he just says screw it and just goes.
Yeah, I think they play together. I think when the kid comes out of high school, if the one and done rule's gone, he goes straight to the NBA. He's a
And
first round pick.
If I remember correctly, the incoming freshman in high school rankings came out a few weeks ago, and he wasn't in the top 30. I don't believe.
I'm not surprised.
Okay.
Listen, a lot of those legacy kids don't pan out. I mean, they just don't.
We'll
You
see.
mean Larry Nance Jr. is not doing his father well?
Hey man, he's in the
Yeah,
NBA.
he's playing well, but he's not going to be he wasn't a. Did he come out one and done?
No, that's my point.
No, I
It's
know,
like
I'm talking
he
about
almost
Josh.
he barely even made the
And the
Wyoming
Hardaway's son. Hardaway's son didn't. He went to Michigan, but he didn't do anything with the Knicks.
NBA.
So
He got jumped over by Antetokounmpo.
So we'll move on to second statement. Shohei Ohtani is headed to the disabled list for at least a month with a grade 2 UCL sprain. He'll be evaluated again at that time, and if the injury isn't healing properly, he could require Tommy John surgery. If he undergoes Tommy John surgery, he'll be out until at least 2020. The Angels GM reiterated in an interview today that they are not planning surgery at this time, and they do expect that he'll be able to at least hit for the team in the near future and potentially pitch. But here is your statement. Ohtani will be the opening day starter for the Angels next season.
I agree.
I'm gonna say hold up here. He's gonna get Tommy John. That's all it's gonna come down to. Never have I heard the words "might need Tommy John"
I do agree with that.
followed by "he won't need Tommy John." So whether he gets Tommy John now or he gets Tommy John 4 months down the road, he's getting Tommy John before the start of next season. So it's
That's a great title for it.
It sucks. Like, it really sucks, but that's just the reality of baseball. And one of the reporters said that, they had talked to a bunch of major league pitchers, and the pitch that causes you the most, pressure on your UCL is the splitter. And guess what Ohtani's best pitch is?
Splitter.
It's a splitter. So it sucks for him, but it is what it is. So we'll move on to statement number 3. I like that Matthew's over there being positive, though. Oh, and you, Emmons, you guys both being positive. Think he's going to make it next year. After the Washington Capitals won the Stanley Cup, Alex Ovechkin was doing keg stands out of the trophy. He was swimming in fountains in D.C. He was at a Nationals game, middle of an inning, live ball. He's holding the cup up above his head and shaking it, trying to get on the Jumbotron. And then he slept in bed with the trophy. So here's your statement. In the interest of public safety and the safety of himself, Alex Ovechkin should not win another Stanley Cup.
Hold up. This is who cares about the public safety? I mean, this has been the most entertaining, like, a person after winning a championship that I've ever seen. I mean, I said this when we were breaking down. There's not a man that I've seen want it more than Alex Ovechkin, and he's just proving it now with what he has with it. It's so entertaining. There's not a guy I'd rather see win that trophy. He's my favorite player in the NHL. It's so enjoyable to watch. It's really entertaining. Normally, you just see guys going to like their hometowns with the cup. I mean, this guy is, like you said, he's doing keg stands. He's swimming in fountains. Did you see his first pitch with the Nationals? He threw it over Scherzer's head, and then he said, "Hang on, give me one more, give me one more." Then he throws it again. So he got 2 pitches out of the first pitch while he was hammered on the pitching mound. So I think this is perfect for Ovechkin. It fits him perfectly, and it's entertaining for me.
I think this is what you want your champion. I mean, this is what you want your athletes to be that excited about a championship. You want to see that this actually means something to them because it's not about money to him. That shows me it was never about the money. It was he wanted to be a champion because there's so many guys who chase the money and not the championship. And so, yeah, you're right. He just shows just how hungry he was, and I love it. I mean, as long as he doesn't break the thing, it's really old.
Little drop here, little humble brag here. When I was a child, I sat inside the Stanley Cup.
Wow, that's actually pretty cool.
That is.
I have pictures to prove it. Not right now though. Sorry,
yes,
fans.
send them to me. We'll put them on the show next week. So here's your fourth statement, and this was the one for me that was really tough to come up with, because ever since we've started doing this segment, I've tried to go away from statistical things that you guys don't have access to because I don't let you see these, and try to go to more like emotional, how you feel type things. But I was struggling to come up with stuff, so this one's more of a statistical type thing. So statement is, Bryce Harper has 19 home runs and 43 RBIs so far this season, but he's only batting .228. Typically that batting average is not enough to get somebody on the All-Star team regardless of power numbers. So here's your statement. Bryce Harper should be an All-Star based on popularity alone.
Hold up. If you're just basing it off of popularity, that's the one thing I do dislike about All-Star games, and I think baseball normally does a pretty good job with that. I could be wrong on that, but I would say it's one of the most even sports when it comes to that. You're batting .228, you said. Home runs are nice, but there's other guys in the league who can hit for power and don't hit for average. So to me, there's a few other guys that are probably more deserving than him to make the All-Star team, other than just his name.
So I don't know how all the other pro sports work as far as All-Star voting goes, but baseball does. Fans vote on the starting 9, and then I believe coaches pick the pitchers and the reserves.
Yep.
So I agree. I would say hold up. I do not believe he should be an All-Star this year. He can still turn it around and have a good season. Get to that upper 200s batting average probably, but he needs to start picking it up right now, just like Paul Goldschmidt has started to do. Goldschmidt started batting less than 200. The Diamondbacks, they held with him and held faithful to him because they knew what kind of hitter he was, and over his last 30 games now, he's batting like .305 with 8 homers, so he's turned it around. He's got his batting average back up to .250. So if Harper can do something like that, then he can still have a good season, but he shouldn't be an All-Star right now, in my opinion.
I agree.
So then that puts us to our fifth statement. Dez Bryant remains a free agent after being cut by the Cowboys a few weeks ago. Multiple players have reached out to Dez Bryant on social media and tried to recruit him to their team, including Jalen Ramsey and Delaney Walker. So here's your statement. Dez Bryant will be on an NFL roster on opening day. Where do you guys think he'll be?
I don't necessarily know where he'll be.
I don't either.
I just think there's gonna be a team out there who's gonna need a receiver. Someone goes down, and they pick him up.
Yeah,
I agree. With the Edelman news, I thought the Patriots could be a potential landing spot for him.
I think that's. I keep thinking that. I don't want to really say that's where it's going to be, but I feel like it's going to be one of those things where he's like, okay, nobody's taking me that I want, because that's the biggest thing with him. He wants, somebody in the NFC East.
I believe he said he's already received some offers, but he's like
he hasn't
biding
liked
his time.
Yeah, he doesn't like the team. He wants like a specific team, and I think he's going to get to the point where, like you said, he's going to have to go somewhere where there's an injury or something, somebody needs him. And I think, when you look at the 1 year, where can you go show you still have it? Tom Brady. So I think that's the logical move, that if you're thinking about what he's going to be thinking about, that's the logical one. But then again, I don't think he's a logical person. So,
right. Well, we'll see. I also believe he'll be on a roster on opening day. I just, like you guys, I don't know where.
Right.
So let's move on to our one and only NFL topic, and this should take us to the end of our show. So we've got 5 players at least confirmed, big names to have not shown up to mandatory minicamps today. Those include Earl Thomas, Julio Jones, Aaron Donald, David Johnson, and Khalil Mack. Emmons, which one of these guys is the biggest issue for their team not showing up?
I think they all can be considered issues. Mine is the Julio Jones one. I don't really normally read too much into social media, what players do on there. But I don't remember how long ago he deleted all Atlanta Falcons things off of his social medias, and now he's holding out of the mandatory minicamps. It's kind of a worry, in my opinion. They lose Taylor Gabriel too in the offseason. So I mean, you lose him, and Julio Jones isn't coming out there week 1. You got a pretty big concern on your hands.
I think Julio would be fine. I think it was around draft time when he did that, and I think it was
I think they're all going to be fine, but I guess if I had to pick the biggest issue.
No, I don't think they're all going to be fine. I actually don't think they're all going to be fine. I think he's going to be fine. I think Earl Thomas is a concern because when you look at what he wants, he wants 2 things. He wants to play for the Cowboys before he retires, and he wants money. Well, he's coming off of season-ending injury, and they already got shafted by Cam Chancellor giving him money.
Yep.
Cam Chancellor didn't do anything wrong, but the ending of his career, possibly, they put a lot of money into him. So
yeah.
I think that's going to scare them off. So I don't think Earl Thomas. I think there's – I don't necessarily think that he plays for the Seahawks this year.
So I did a little research into my answer. And I agree with Emmons that it's Julio Jones, but for a different reason. All those 5 guys that we're talking about right now, they all have one thing in common, except Julio Jones. And the thing they all have in common is that they're all unrestricted free agents next year. They're all in the last year of their deals. Julio Jones still has 3 years left on his current contract. Yep. He just signed a new one 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. So the Falcons, number one, don't want to re-up a contract that they just signed. But let me tell you why Julio is now doing what he's doing with his contract situation. And I believe I've mentioned this in the past on this show. What's happening to Julio Jones right now? He's getting Roddy Whited. They drafted Calvin Ridley.
Yep.
They're getting ready to replace him because he's 29 years old. Yep. His contract expires in 3 years. When that 3 years is up, they're going to let him walk. And he's not going to have made as much money as he thinks he should have made. So he's trying to hold out now to get his money, to get back into that top 2 to 3 wide receiver pay grade, because right now I believe he's the 7th highest paid wide receiver. So he's trying to get his money now before he gets kicked out like he kicked out Roddy White.
I couldn't agree more, actually, with that.
But I understand that, and I see where that's coming from. However, what you said is very important there. He's still under contract for a few more years. It's the same kind of situation you've had with Le'Veon Bell. I mean, where
the difference is that all those other players can be franchise tagged at the end of this year and still be a part of that team. Whereas Julio Jones, that's a huge concern for them because if they leave him on the roster and he chooses not to show up and not to play, they still have to pay him roster bonuses.
Yeah, but he's not going to. They know he's not going to do that. He's going to come and play.
Oh yeah, he's going to come and play. He has to.
Yeah,
he doesn't have a choice. But
yeah, he's going to come and play. So that's why I'm saying his contract situation makes it to where he is in the worst situation of all of them in the sense that the team has him. I mean, the team has him. Whereas the other guys, the time is clicking and the return value you can get. And I think Earl is the one that you don't want to put money into. You don't know what his is he going to come back from the injury? So
But see, I think that's where that plays into the Seahawks' advantage, though, is they can choose to talk to Earl and say, look, Earl, you're coming off a season-ending injury. We're not going to give you a new deal. We'll either work out a trade for you, or you come back and you prove yourself, and we either franchise tag you next year or you become an unrestricted free agent. That's probably how that's going to go down in the end.
I'm telling you, I'm thinking he's going to get sent to the Cowboys for a mid-round pick. He's going to get sent for like a fourth.
What are your thoughts on that, Evans?
On the Earl Thomas situation?
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think it's the complete opposite situation of what Julio, like Matthew said. Julio's under control for 3 years. And I'm with you with Earl Thomas. He's coming off an injury, so the Seahawks can play the game here. Like you said, we're going to work a deal out with you where you can come here and prove yourself, and we'll pay you. We'll pay you if you earn it. If not, I mean, you can walk. But the Earl Thomas thing does scare me, though, because it's so clear that he wants to be a Cowboy. Like it's probably it's more clear than the Julio thing, in my opinion. I do still agree that Julio is the guy to worry about, but it's clear that he wants to be a Cowboy. And I guess if I'm a Seahawks fan, that's the one thing that's worrying me and sitting in the back of my mind while he's holding out.
But do we all agree that David Johnson, Khalil Mack, and Aaron Donald are going to get new contracts?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I figured. So, I don't like the Julio situation. It puts the Falcons in a weird position. It's also setting a weird precedent for, honestly, it's going to set a weird precedent for Calvin Ridley. Like, if I'm Calvin Ridley's agent, I'm like, okay, they did this to Roddy White. They did this. They did this to Julio. They're doing it to Julio Jones.
Yep.
When Ridley gets out of his contract when he's 26, if they want to re-sign him, I need to make them sign like a 10-year deal for like a lot of money.
Let's not see it.
Yeah, to backload it, or only sign like a 3-year deal. So you get out at 29, and you're not like Julio, where you're at that 32 limbo spot when you're getting free agency. So, any more thoughts on those holdouts? Either you two, you want to move on?
One comment I have is the David Johnson contract situation. How do you guys think that plays out with how everything has played out with Le'Veon Bell?
Well, see, luckily for David Johnson, he is 24 or 25. So he's a couple years younger than Le'Veon. If the Cardinals can talk him into taking a contract that makes him a free agent at age 29 or 30, they're okay. But if his agent and he wants a contract that carries him into 32, 33 years old, then that's where you're gonna see those talks kind of take a little bit longer.
I think that the Cardinals have a different system set up than Pittsburgh does. I mean, Pittsburgh, they're kind of a pass-heavy offense, and so they're not going to necessarily put that money into a running back. Whereas the Cardinals, they got a rookie quarterback. I could see them maybe putting that money into David compared to Pittsburgh putting into Le'Veon. I think Pittsburgh knows they can get somebody else to fill that spot, not as well, but to fill that spot. Whereas Arizona, you got a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, I believe. Obviously not last year because David Johnson was injured, but the year before that, so the 2016 season, David Johnson had at least 100 yards from scrimmage, either on the ground or in the air, every game, all 16 games of their season. So
that's what I'm saying.
He is very pivotal. He is very pivotal to their offense.
Whereas Le'Veon is more of what they used to call a scat back. Like he's more of a scat back where he's going to get out in the flats and passing game and stuff like that, rather than
that's what's crazy about Le'Veon to me is that he's a scat back, but he is like he is amazing. That's amazing. Crazy. Normally like scat backs, you have guys to play a role, but he is phenomenal.
He's got great vision.
About Le'Veon.
Yeah.
All right, so
he's not the traditional running back.
Right, no, for sure. No, I completely agree with he's a scat back. It's just impressive to me that we have a scat back that is that good.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so we'll move into what's on your mind for this week, and I'm gonna take this one this week. We talked.
I didn't ruin it for Josh this week, so
no, nobody ruined it. So we talked about it at the beginning of the year when we did MLB predictions. We said if the New York Mets can stay healthy, they've got a shot to compete. Well, guess what? The New York Mets are not healthy. They've had 17 players go on the DL. That's the most in the majors. They have 10 players on the DL right now currently. That's tied for the most in the majors with the Angels and the Dodgers. The biggest thing to look at here is no matter who the manager or the GM has been, and no matter who they've brought in from the outside as far as player-wise, they can't stay healthy. At what point does the GM or the president of the organization realize there's an issue with your training staff at the major league level and at the minor league levels? You need to look into that immediately, because what you're doing is you're wasting talent like Syndergaard, like DeGrom, and it's hurting your team. It essentially could have been what set Matt Harvey back after he had such a great season a couple years ago, is that he's not getting top-level medical help when you're in New York. You should be able to get some of the best medical professionals across the country, but it seems like you struggle to keep players healthy year in and year out. So if I'm running that organization, you need to replace your medical team, and you need to do it now. That's all I got.
I think it's a great point. I mean, you get rid of managers, you get new front office personnel, and everybody that comes up through your system is still getting hurt. And I think that shows at every single level. Maybe, just maybe, we have a issue with our medical staff. I mean, you would think they would catch this faster, but like you said, I mean, something's got to be looked into, because DeGrom and Syndergaard are so good, dude. And we're just watching their careers be wasted almost by these injuries.
I think I've said this for a couple of seasons now. I think the same situation's happening in Green Bay with the Packers. They've had a lot of injuries the past couple of years, and I think that's derailed some prime years of some of those athletes. So I think you got the same situation in Green Bay. And
yeah,
if you're
I think
the owner, you start
I think
questions.
I think the blame needs to be taken off of the players, and more blame needs to be being put on the training staff and the conditioning coaches that deal with these players as well. While I brought up the Mets, I do want to say I saw something interesting. During the offseason, the Mets GM was asked why they didn't get Giancarlo Stanton, why they weren't in on Giancarlo Stanton, and he said, well, we have Brandon Nimmo to play right field. Brandon Nimmo actually has better numbers across the board, I think, except in home runs, has better numbers than Stanton. So he's actually playing at a higher level than Stanton right now. So I thought that was pretty funny.
That is interesting.
I thought that was pretty funny. So that's going to close us out for week 14. Again, Connor, thank you for being on for the first half of the show, talk soccer with Emmons and Matthew. John, Matthew, thanks for being on here. Appreciate you guys coming back, week 14. So we'll be back next Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m., same time, same place. You can follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, as well as follow the Twitch page where you're watching right now. So again, thank you for watching, and everybody have a good night.